It's been a 2-week hiatus since I've been on the air, and my God, the amount of stupidity I've seen online is ridiculous. So, you know what? YouTube needed someone right now to actually step up and be completely truthful. I can't believe how disingenuous half the stuff I've been reading about this Academy Awards race has been. So, let's get real for a moment. I am talking about Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress today. I'm doing my power rankings, but I've got a little bit more style and substance to it than maybe I usually do, because we now know our 5 names for each category, and we now have actual critiques that I can kind of do, compare and contrast, really just give actual analysis on this race as which it stands. And right now I'm about to drop the hottest of hottest takes right now on air just for you, my viewers. I'm really feeling like a right-wing Bill O'Reilly style right now, which is horrible. I do apologize for that. That is not the style I'm going for. My name is Ben Friedman, film critic here, and today I am talking about the Academy Award race, but I am trying to bring a little bit more truth to it and in my coverage of it. So in my power rankings, let's just start with, I think, the hottest of hot takes. And it starts with the Best Supporting Actress race, which is just simply all tied into this Barbie nonsense. And I call it nonsense because it is nonsense. One of the things that I read right after the Academy Awards nominations went out, and I heard who was nominated, who wasn't, and the opinion of Barbie, essentially there. The idea that Barbie was snubbed because Greta Gerwig did not get nominated, and because Margot Robbie did not get nominated, and thus, how could the Academy reward the film, but without rewarding the people who worked on the film? Well, guess what? The Academy did reward the people who worked on the film. Greta Gerwig is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, along with Noah Baumbach, and Margot Robbie is nominated as a producer. Would I have liked to see Margot Robbie slip into that top 5 category? Sure. Would I have liked to have seen Greta Gerwig get into director? Honestly, the way the director category stands right now, I have no qualms with it. I think it's a pretty strong list of 5 nominees. And what drove me absolutely crazy about all this coverage is it's just like, it was such assumed that spot was Greta Gerwig. That completely minimizes what Greta Lee does in past lives. It minimizes what Alexander Payne achieves in The Holdovers, what Cord Jefferson does with American Fiction, so on and so forth. It was just such assumedness that it was going to be Greta Gerwig that it was just like, well, then it's hers. And it's just like, that's completely... I found it just bizarre context, especially when you were talking about someone like Greta Lee, who I would have been far more delighted to see get a Best Director's nomination than Greta Gerwig. That would have felt something new and fresh with the Academy that I hadn't quite seen. And maybe the argument is, well, why couldn't we have had 3 or 4 women nominated for director? Maybe we could have. But this was a competitive year. And yes, could there have been more? But again, I feel fine about the 5. So it's just this assumption that it's like, well, and it's this question I always think to myself when I hear this nonsense. Kick somebody out. Tell me right now who you are kicking out of Best Director to get Greta Gerwig in there. And to be honest, I think a lot of people would be saying Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. And that just shows the bias of foreign language features where they just don't see them and they don't value it as much. Well, then Greta Gerwig gets $1.6 billion under her belt for Barbie. She's fine. So let's end this discussion with that. Best Supporting Actress. The reason I also tie it into Barbie is because someone in here, Barbie got 8 nominations. It probably only should have gotten 7. Let's just rank these top 5 for Best Supporting Actress. I actually think all the actors in here do varying degrees of good work, even if these wouldn't have been the names that I necessarily would have seen. I think I probably would have had 2 to 3 of these on my list, and I'll say which ones those are. Number 5, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. She's good in the movie. I think she is deserving in it. The reality is she is not going to win this. And here was kind of how I did my analysis of this. What is their path to winning this award? So here is Danielle Brooks' case for winning for The Color Purple. If The Color Purple, which is really not nominated for any of the major awards, if it wins the SAG Ensemble out of nowhere, then maybe there is a case she wins Supporting Actress. I don't even think that would be true, but at least now all of a sudden I'm like, well, that's something I don't think anyone accounted for. The race feels different. And the only other case that I could see maybe some growing appreciation for The Color Purple is inevitably this movie will be released on Max. If it is released on Max and people start seeing it and they start respecting the film, and really maybe the people who didn't see it at home, I should say, and they're like, this movie's really good. Danielle Brooks is really good. And you just start hearing so much love on it. On top of this, maybe the surprise win that it gets for an ensemble. Maybe all of a sudden Danielle Brooks wins the award. But we all know that no one's beating Divine Joy Randolph this year. So let's just kind of get that inevitability out of the way. Let's start. I know I started with my 5. Let's now jump to 1. And the only way Divine Joy Randolph does not win this award is if she does something so heinously stupid. And I'm talking about like the most heinous of crimes where it's just like, we can't even be associated with Divine Joy Randolph. That's the only way she loses Best Supporting Actress at this point. So this thing's a lock. It's a guaranteed winner. But just for speculation, let's go into the other ones. So we've done Danielle Brooks. We've done Divine Joy Randolph. Divine Joy Randolph, I should say. I think I just said Divine Randolph. Divine Joy Randolph. Let's go into my number 4, which I said it a few weeks ago. And guess what? Apparently I was right. That analysis was right then, and it's the case. America Ferrera got nominated because of that one speech. Because, think with me for a second. Hypothesize with me. Imagine the world where that Barbie movie comes out and that speech by America Ferrera is not in there. Does America Ferrera get the nomination? You all know the answer. Here's the way America Ferrera could win for Barbie. If there is such a strong backlash to the backlash that Barbie has received, maybe all of a sudden Barbie can sneak in there and get a win, where it's just like, well, we want to reward America Ferrera. And if Barbie just somehow starts winning categories that we weren't really suspecting, like, I mean, it legitimately becomes a threat to win Best Picture. Maybe Greta and Noah win Adapted, and maybe that starts winning Below the Lines. And we're watching that race, and we're like, well, that's not what we were expecting. Well, that's not what we were expecting. Oh, that's not what we were expecting. And we're like, is Barbie going to win this whole damn contest? Well, maybe that's the scenario in which America Ferrera could win. I don't see that happening. Coming in at number 3, I'm calling this number 3 because I think Jodie Foster being on True Detective means something. And I think the phenomenon of that show and how much people seem to be talking about this season is helpful for the Jodie Foster renaissance. You know, Matthew McConaughey, in that whole year of the McConaissance, he has Wolf of Wall Street. He has Dallas Buyers Club. Year before, he has Lincoln Lawyer. He has Magic Mike. I'm forgetting. He has a few more movies in there. And it all kind of caps off with True Detective, where he wins. If I'm correct, he wins the Emmy and Oscar that year. That's the case for Jodie Foster, where it's just like, oh my God, this is a resurgence of an enormous mass that we're all here to witness, and we're just such in the Foster science of it that we just start feeling it, and we're like, yeah, we got to get it there. That's the scenario for which a Jodie Foster could win it. And I think there could be a scenario where, what if Annette Bening starts rising up in the categories where they're like, oh my gosh, Annette Bening, she's an actress that, if I'm correct, I don't think she's ever been awarded with the Academy Award. That's the difference between Bening and Foster in this case. If I'm correct, Bening has never been nominated for a film. Please fact check me on that. If I'm wrong, I do apologize. But where it's like, oh, okay, well, Bening gets it, and then Nyad starts building a little bit more love and love and love. That's the case because of the veteran actress strength. I mean, of all of these 5 actors that I'm talking about, no one is more respected in this category than Jodie Foster. There's very few actors working in Hollywood who have the level of respect that people have for Jodie Foster. Appearing as a child in movies such as Taxi Driver to all the way here in 2024, she's beloved. Number 2, and I think we all kind of know the reason it's number 2. And again, I have to be fair. I criticized America Ferrera for getting into this category for that one speech, which is just like, I get it, it's one speech, but is that really enough to really warrant anything else? I think the same argument could be made to Emily Blunt. A performance that I like that I also find severely underwritten. It's, I think, one of the bigger flaws in Oppenheimer is how Nolan handles the wife character in it. I believe her name is Kitty. That is a huge problem with this film. So we would be nominating and awarding Emily Blunt for this category solely based on the strength of Oppenheimer's sweep. Where it's just like, well, Oppenheimer wins Best Actor, and it wins Best Director, and it wins Best Screenplay, and it wins Best production design, and then it wins like sound and score and all this stuff. And it's just like, Oppenheimer's going on to win 10, 11 Oscars this year. Well, then all of a sudden, maybe Emily Blunt gets in there, just kind of the groundswell support. We saw this last year with Jamie Lee Curtis, a pretty shocking and completely undeserving award win for Jamie Lee Curtis. But Emily Blunt is an actress who's beloved and work in the rooms. And this is her first nomination. Maybe you could see something. But again, no one's beating Divine Joy Randolph. And that's the news as I see it. Before we jump into Best Supporting Actor, let me take a break and introduce, and that's that. So before we jump into Best Supporting Actor, let's take a break and go into a ad real quick. The new year brings New Year resolutions, and I can tell you one of mine is hygiene. I really want to focus on my personal hygiene, and that's why I'm glad our friends over at Manscaped are introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's every man's cheat code to look good and feel good and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're looking to maintain a trim or goes for that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. And I know what every man is thinking right now. I would never want to put a blade down there. That's just too scary. Well, the good thing is Manscaped's got you covered because they are equipped with two skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It's like having a personal stylist at your fingertips. And did I mention the best thing about Manscaped? This razor, you want to use it in the shower? Well, guess what? It's waterproof. Get yourself the MVP of 2024, Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and get 20% off and free shipping with the code FilmSchoolDrop at manscaped.com. That is FilmSchoolDrop at manscaped.com, because nothing says Happy New Year like a deal that leaves your balls and your budget feeling refreshed. I think the reality is I'm just going to combine these two videos, Best Supporting Actress and Best Supporting Actor, because I don't have much to say about Best Supporting Actor. One, I actually adore all 5 of these nominations. I think these are 5 extremely deserving ones, even if maybe I wouldn't have had Sterling K. Brown in here, just because I would have wanted to get someone like Holt in here for the Iron Claw. There's a few ways that this category could have shaken up, and I actually would have been fine with any of the results. There was 1 to 8 actors in this category that if I saw their name, I would have been like, good for them. I think they did great work this year. So in talking about these 5, I do have one that I do, and I have been championing this entire season, that I do believe their work stands above and shoulders, head and shoulders, I should say, above the rest. But I am approaching all these with a fairly good sense of love for all of them. Let's start at number 5. The one that's kind of just an honor to be there, Sterling K. Brown. The case for him winning would be American Fiction wins adapted screenplay. And we're starting to get this feeling of, is American Fiction going to win Best Picture? And you hear me say that for all these categories. Well, maybe there's a little bit of truth. Because in a case like Sterling K. Brown, it really does need to start being a ground well of support. I don't really see Sterling K. Brown being in this category. Next one, I actually think 1 to 4, there wouldn't be a shock if it happened. There would be a shock because it's an upset, I think, by most people's accounts. But when you think about it, you're like, okay, that does make sense. I do have Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, a performance I find so menacing and so unlike anything I've seen De Niro do in the 21st century. This is using all the charisma that he's brought in his earlier Scorsese works, mixing it with some of his more villainous turns that we've seen in like Taxi Driver, that we've seen in Cape Fear, mixing it with kind of that old guy sweetness that we see in movies, even like Meet the Parents. Like the character doesn't feel so vastly different than the character that he plays in a comedy like Meet the Parents. And I think that's kind of the trick of this movie, is Scorsese's utilization of Robert De Niro. The case for Robert De Niro is, again, The Killers of the Flower Moon, Uprise, Scorsese upsets at DGA, and SAG nominations plus win goes to Killer of the Flower Moon. All of a sudden, if this wins SAG, then it's like, well, who's the true big actors nominated? Lily Gladstone, who very well is on a chance to win, and Robert De Niro, well, all of a sudden starts making turns. And then De Niro's turning 81. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities to reward one of our best living actors. Like, I know he already has Chew, but if people want to keep, he's one of our most praised, most loved actors. So if people wanted to keep going and be like, well, De Niro needs to win this. He's De Niro. He needs to have 3. Oh, this could be a great opportunity to give it to him. Number 3, I have Ryan Gosling. Same as America Ferrera. Signs that Barbie could win Best Picture. Here's why I'm really skeptical of Ryan Gosling actually winning this. What if there's a scenario where Barbie goes home with production design, best song, and best supporting actor for Ken? That's going to feel weird at the ceremony. Oh, especially after this backlash of we didn't nominate Greta Gerwig or Margot Robbie. I don't think the Academy actually thinks that way. But PR-wise, that's weird. It is. There's going to be backlash. And we know the Academy is online because the past few years, Coda and Everything Everywhere All at Once seems to show that the Academy does have some sort of online influence that maybe we didn't believe a few years ago. So I don't really see a case, but again, that is the scenario in which Ryan Gosling wins. Here's the guy that I would look at possibly being as a dark horse candidate. Mark Ruffalo. This is his 4th Oscar nominee in basically a decade. 2011, Kids Are Alright. 2014, Foxcatcher. 2015, Spotlight. This year, Poor Things. Beloved actor by the Academy. And Stone has a good chance to win at SAG. She does. Emma Stone could go on to win the Oscar for Best Actress. Poor Things has a chance to compete because of that. Just like the fact of Poor Things is going to be in the conversation because Emma Stone is in the conversation. And that's, I think, the big thing to kind of just remember when we talk about campaigning. It's the same way a political campaign works. You know the people who go on to win big at during elections? The people who are able to be talked about in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, all the way to primaries. The people who are forgotten, well, you kind of fade off in February. It's the same way with the Oscars. And Poor Things will be in the conversation because it will be Lily Gladstone or it will be Emma Stone. And I think that's going to be the intrigue this entire award season, which means Poor Things will be talked about. That could work in favor of Mark Ruffalo, but is it enough to beat Robert Downey Jr.? I don't think so. I challenged myself to think of the one scenario in which Robert Downey Jr. could lose for Oppenheimer. And I came up with one. Besides the stupid one of, oh, Robert Downey Jr. gets himself canceled. Any of these people get themselves canceled in the next 3 months. However, a month and a half, actually, I guess, till the Academy Awards. Yeah, you know what? Well, maybe they could lose the Oscar. That is the reality of it. Assuming they don't do that, which let's just assume, like, we're not going to count that against people. Just assuming that, what's the other scenario in which Robert Downey Jr. could lose this out? And I think I've come up with one, and I don't even know if it would lose him one. But if it was announced February 14th, maybe it's announced at the Super Bowl. Oh my God, look at the Super Bowl trailers going on. New Marvel movie. What is this? News drops. Robert Downey Jr. returning as Iron Man for Secret Wars. Well, maybe that's seen as selling out back out to Marvel. Robert Downey Jr., this was kind of a award. We're so happy with your performance. You being in Marvel for so long, not really getting the chance to make movies like this. It's kind of your welcome home. Which was kind of the narrative they were selling this Robert Downey Jr. on this whole year. Oh, well, he's back as Iron Man. Okay. Well, I guess when you actually come back to us, you call us and maybe we'll nominate you then. I don't know. Maybe that's a scenario. I don't think that's happening. I also don't think Robert Downey Jr. would consider signing with Marvel, especially when he's on the brink of winning an Academy Award. Because guess what? He'll be able to demand a little bit more money if he wins an Academy Award. And all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe instead of $150 million, maybe I want $175 million. And is Disney going to say no? They won't. So I see that as the scenario. And I just want to say, people, have talked to me about Robert Downey Jr. Why have you stumped so hard for this guy? I genuinely believe this is one of the best performances of the year. I believe he is able to do that thing with the charisma where he takes a movie star charisma into a role, completely weaponizes it, and turns expectations based on how we view Robert Downey Jr. And it feels so fresh, it feels exciting, and it's an old school movie star role. And it's a perfect use of what Robert Downey Jr. does so well with his ability to speak as an actor, his ability to just kind of get lost in that role. And I think that's the big thing. When I watch Robert Downey Jr. in this role, one, I am so hyper fixated on the fact that I'm like, oh my gosh, he's acting and he's just commanding the screen. But I also feel myself getting lost in this character and this motivation, and I want to spend more time with him. And he does that feature of a supporting actor, which he supports the main actor. And for an hour of the film, he just has to sit with the film and kind of take it over for the final hour of the film. And I think he does it brilliantly. So that's why I am rooting for Robert Downey Jr. to win this year's Academy Award here on the Metaverse Movie Channel. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Manscaped. Remember, that code is Film School Drop for 20% off on all Manscaped products. So use that code while you can. And I'll be back next few days. Thank you all. I know it's been a little bit of a hiatus for me. I got sick the past week, and my voice is still a little struggling, but I'm back. So if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. My name is Ben Friedman. Take care.